Hello, I'm Caitlin Huey-Burns in for Major Garrett. Welcome to The Takeout and happy Friday to you. President Trump has two deals on his desk right now. And as of right now, neither seems like it's going to get closed. Spirit Airlines is preparing to go out of business, and CBS News has learned that they could cease operations as soon as tomorrow. Talks with the Trump White House over a $500 million bailout have stalled. And President Trump was asked about a potential deal with the beleaguered airline earlier today.
Well, I guess we're looking at it. If we could do it, we'd do it, but only if it's a good deal.
All indications are that the White House feels like it's not. And the other deal presented today from Iran through the intermediary country of Pakistan. This is their second offer. So far, we're short on the details, but we do have an initial response from the commander-in-chief, who more than 60 days into this war that has been on pause.
So they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it, so we'll see what happens. Iran wants to make a deal because they have no military left, essentially, and they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it.
So we'll dig into both of these stories, but we'll start with our transportation correspondent, Kris Van Cleave, on the airline that may be in its last hours. Kris, good to see you. A lot of big news here today. I mean, the Trump administration had been in these advanced discussions with Spirit about potentially a government-backed financing package. So what happened?
Well, ultimately, the devil was in the details, and at least one of Spirit's main group of creditors, the bondholders, didn't like those details. One of the bondholders did send a counteroffer that was rejected by the government, we think, earlier this week. But at this point, you basically had talks ground to a halt, and it appears, even though the president said today that they've made a final offer, that final offer wasn't good enough for the bondholders, that they may see more value in liquidating Spirit Airlines. As a result, basically, the airline is out of money to continue operating, and that's why sources tell us they may begin parking their planes as soon as tomorrow morning.
Wow. And so, Kris, if you are someone who has a ticket right now, purchased a ticket to fly on Spirit Airlines, what do you do?
Well, if you have a ticket for upcoming travel, that ticket is likely to get canceled and refunded through your credit card company. But obviously, you'll need to make new plans and book a new flight. For the people that are midway through a trip, you're on vacation or you haven't made your return yet, you're likely going to need to come up with a backup plan to get home. Now, we have heard from several other airlines that they plan to offer what they call rescue fares, basically capping the economy price or maybe offering a special price for people who can show they had a Spirit itinerary in their mid-trip. The airlines can't put that into action until Spirit formally says that they're ceasing operations. The airline for right now is saying, basically not commenting, saying they're operating normally today. And our understanding is that they are very focused on making sure today's operations go smoothly and safely. But we expect that there will be some communication perhaps as soon as overnight tonight, telling flyers not to go to the airport, that the flights have been canceled. At that point, you'll see some other options pop up for flyers that are stranded. But people are going to need a backup plan.
Yeah, potentially a lot of unhappy travelers, as I know you've covered well. Kris Van Cleave, thank you very much for your reporting. And Politico's aviation reporter, Oriana Pawlyk, joins me now. Oriana, great to see you. Appreciate your time. Let's talk about the economic fallout of what happens here when this kind of carrier goes out of business. I mean, I'm thinking about people who don't fly Spirit Airlines, but may be worried about kind of the impact of this carrier ceasing to exist and what it means for other airlines.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've absolutely heard from lawmakers and officials from previous administrations that have said time and time again, when there is a reduction in the amount of options that you have as a flyer, competition is strained and prices go up. And so I think people now, we saw today, especially some of those competitors talking about what they can offer a Spirit clientele going forward. Let's come to our airline, we'll offer brand loyalty, and they're going to have to start looking at some of those options, of course. But again, the competition will be strained for a little bit. And even though there was a merger prospect some years ago for Spirit to merge with JetBlue, and it would have crunched all that competition, regardless, you still would have had an ultra low-cost carrier in the market, and now you are going to lose one.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by that because, even if you haven't flown Spirit, you know that they are a budget airline and that they charge for extra things. So you get a cheap ticket, but you have to pay for your seat or for checked luggage and so forth. I feel like that has changed the game a little bit here. I mean, is there going to be another impact on some of these other budget airlines that have kind of taken that business model?
Well, it's also a business model that the large airlines have adopted as well, especially coming out of the COVID pandemic. I mean, you saw the big four, United, Delta, American, and Southwest also look to those types of models because they realized that it worked for the budget airlines. And so you got a better flight and you got more flight options with the routes and networks that those airlines already have. And then they offered you some a la carte options in addition to, and that's how they kind of built back their brand loyalty coming out of the pandemic. So they took what the ultra low cost carriers were doing and they just kind of upped their game in the customer service arena. So again, they're going to try to attract those customers going forward, especially if the bailout talks do fail, as we've all heard is going to happen.
And could this have any consequences for the cost of tickets across the board for other airlines?
Airlines compete already very aggressively with one another for ticket prices. You know, they'll see that so-and-so airline is going to, minimize some of the cost, or they're going to elevate some of the cost. And most of them follow suit in doing so because, again, that competition is fierce. They want to attract customers. They want to keep their profits up. They want to keep travel going. So it is possible that you'll see a little blip in the system. But ultimately, again, it's mostly for the travelers and those who are loyal to Spirit who are now going to have to find alternative options, as Kris was just saying.
All right, we will stay tuned for what happens here, especially tomorrow. But Oriana, thank you so much for your reporting. We appreciate it.
Thank you.